You're listening to the best local sports show. Boots, Bats and Balls on Six Towns Radio.
6TR.
It's time for Running News with Phil, the Six Towns Runner.
Phil, the Six Towns Runner's back with us today. He's here to tell us about last week's Potteries Marathon. Another successful event, Phil.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, it was another great day. Some terrific runs, some emotional runs. Another beautiful day. We always say the weather comes out on the Potteries Marathon weekend. Then they always used to say in the old marathon that if you want a weekend in Stoke, come during the marathon. It's always a good day. So again, it was possibly a little bit too warm for the runners, but great for the supporters and volunteers out on the day. So glad it wasn't like it is right now, because that would have been awful. But yeah, we had Ben Gamble who won. First time ever that you've had the male winner for the Potters Off 2016 and the winner of the Tour Systems Potteries Marathon 2016 in the same year. Ben did 2:31 on the marathon. Unstoppable. Absolutely unstoppable. The next guy was a good sort of few minutes behind. It was more like a procession for Ben. Absolutely phenomenal time as well on that course. And the First Lady, she retained her crown. She came back to defend it. Hannah, she did 2 hours and 59 minutes. So just ducked under 3 hours, which was fantastic for her. It was just great. Lots of relay teams. Had some emotional runs out there. There was a couple of people who were raising money for various charities who'd lost loved ones. Certainly, it was a big finish for some people. Lots of tears at the end. But that's, it's all part of the day. Fantastic event. And we're thrilled that it all went well again. It was fantastic, well supported all the way around. It was great. Really already looking forward to next year.
In terms of numbers then, Phil, I think it was slightly down on actual numbers of entries this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were. We were down on entries from last year. Maybe the novelty from the marathon returning had worn off a little bit by this year. So yeah, we were down significantly, we could say, on the numbers from the previous year. Overall, including the relay runners, we had about 1,000 people involved on the day. 1,000 runners. Which is
still great, isn't it?
Sorry?
Still great in terms of 1,000 people on the streets of Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah, it was. It was fantastic. And, the crowds weren't as big as last year, but when they did come out in places like Bentley, fantastic, and the support was great through lots of different areas again. Couldn't have asked for a better day, really, in terms of the weather too. We had about sort of between 400 and 600 people in the marathon, so down on last year, but we still hope to build that back up. It was just a great day. We absolutely, I loved it. I was helping out and volunteering at various places, doing different jobs from sort of 5 a.m. till about 5:30, I think, on that afternoon. I got home, and I really enjoyed my day, watching everyone run through. It was brilliant, seeing all my friends and people from far afield. Again, we had people who'd come down from the Scottish Highlands who took part. A chap who ran it last year got a PB this time, so that was amazing. He wasn't expecting that. So that's really well done on such a tough course with a lot of hills.
Mentioning the hills, there's been a bit of a debate in the week post-marathon. There's been some discussion about, because numbers are down, the costs are spiralling, and I don't think you got as many volunteers as you hoped for this year, so obviously you had to pay stewards, which obviously impacted on the costs.
Yeah.
There's talk of maybe making the course shorter and creating laps in there. Just give us some background on that sort of debate, Phil, if you don't mind.
Well, in terms of shorter, let's not start that rumour. It will still be a full marathon at the end of the day.
Shorter in terms of the less of the area it covers.
There's within the organisers, Run GBR, and the local volunteers such as myself and Bill and Lynn, we are sort of discussing whether we can run this as 4 laps next year, which has been met sort of unanimously with some horror. But then I also know lots of other runners that have said to me that they didn't they thought it was a lot tougher than they expected. Toughest race they've done. Not sure if they'd do it again. And so I think the bottom line is that it's very hilly, it's very tough. In places it's not that scenic, but it's a 1 lap marathon course, which in terms of like the cost, as you just said, is massive really. To signpost the whole way round takes an entire day. I was out from midday till 5ish clearing up. We filled a skip with the amount of bottles and things that people drop on the course, which is all part and parcel. I'm not complaining about that, but if we can run it as 4 laps, it condenses the whole thing down. That's going to save a lot of costs. It's going to save on the amount of volunteers, water stations, and the idea being that we can create a big buzz. If you run through the Bet365 stadium as it is now, if we run through there 3 times, for the relay handovers, we'll all be in the same position. That makes it a lot easier for everyone to get where they need to be, because you're all in the same place essentially, and you don't have to all run to the finish because you just hang around. So in theory, you'd get a big buzz at the finish. You'll see the runners come through a few times. It makes it easier to marshal as well if you've got a shorter course. Yeah, and in terms of trying to iron out the course a little bit. That's feedback we've received from a lot of the runners. There's a lot of people now who are saying that they like the hills are what make it. So we're listening to that, and it's a case of be careful what you wish for. If you want a hilly course, we can do that in Stoke. That's not a problem. We'll just go through Penkle a few times. Do you want to run up Lodge? Do you want to go up Lodge Road 4 times and down James Street 4 times, or even up James Street? So it's all there to be looked at. Really, we're going to be out on the course, or the local guys certainly will be out over the next few weeks on bikes, trying to see where we can go from the stadium and back. That is a shorter route and with less of an incline.
I'm guessing you could have a variable in there, couldn't you, Phil? You could probably have 1 lap that includes Penkle and the rest that doesn't, maybe. So you do like a first lap around Penkle, or the last lap around there.
Yeah.
And then 3 other laps that probably go down London Road, and that way maybe. I'm speculating now, but it doesn't have to be 4 exact same laps, does it, I guess?
No, it doesn't.
It could be an option.
Yeah, and you've got Stoke Town Centre that we could go through as well to utilise the good crowds that you'd get in the town centre there.
Yes, yeah.
So there's lots of options there. Even the canal maybe that's nearby.
I'm sure if you included Fenton, you get a good turnout there. By the way, as a Fentonian.
Sure, we would. It's not a million miles away.
No, it isn't. So, plenty of options and lots of things to discuss. What about next year? Have you opened entries yet, or are you holding off until
I think we're holding off because it would be unfair because people don't know what they're going to be entering yet, whether it's a single lap marathon or multi-laps or there and back.
Makes more sense.
There's more. The main thing is that it's going to be back in 2017. And that's a benefit for the whole city. There will be a Potteries Marathon next year. In what format is yet to be decided, but there will be a marathon.
We talked about the city, and you talked about clearing up earlier. It surprised me you don't get any support with that. Is that the case, or is it everything has to be done by the Potteries Marathon team? Do the council get involved in any way, shape, or form?
No, nobody will sort of. It's up to the organisers to clean up after the race.
Yeah.
We all do. There's no choice to drop the bottle once you've drank what you need to.
Certainly you can't carry it around with you.
No, and the gels and all those bits. So I did all that with another chap. And we just have to make sure that everything is spotless, because if there is, debris and runners, bits and bobs still on the course after we've left, then quite rightly the locals will complain, and it puts us in a bad light. So we don't want that. So it's entirely down to us to clean up.
But if you could get some council support,
we'd love to get.
It's a great asset to the city, isn't it?
It's massive. It brings people in, as I've said. Like, we've had lots of runners from all across the country again this year. Probably more so than local runners this year, which is an interesting fact. But yeah, they need somewhere to stay. They eat and drink. I was out with quite a few of them on Sunday night to celebrate their results.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it brings a lot of money into the local area. So yeah, we'd love it if the council wanted to get involved and support us with PR, advertising, even any help on the day with events, and whatever they can do. We're always up for council to listen.
A few staff and volunteers, that sort of thing, and helping the clear up. They could probably do the clear up a lot quicker than you with it. A few street machines, couldn't they? You know what I mean, in terms of getting around with the street cleaners.
Yeah, it'd be ideal.
Doing that,
saves me smelling of sticky Lucozade all day long.
Okay, I'm going to play a song, one we played before. Reflects on the marathon course of the last couple of years.
All right, okay.
And then we'll come back and finish the chat from there.
Yep.
Kate Bush and Running Up That Hill. I don't know why that suddenly ended, but it did. Wasn't anything I did, I don't think. We're back. We're talking about the Potteries Marathon. We talked about some potential changes next year, and again, at this stage, they are only potential changes. Everything's up in the air, and you're still discussing. And there's a good forum on the Facebook page, which remind me is.
We got the official Facebook page, which is just search for Potteries Marathon, and then you got the full Potteries Marathon one, which is the interactive page where everybody can post and get talking and discuss various things.
And there's a great debate on there now in terms of what you're doing, and you'll obviously take that on board and look at people's ideas.
Yeah, anyone who's got any ideas, please post them on there. We do listen, we do respond.
You can get involved even if you're not able to be a runner. There's marketing that's needed, there's regular post updates, there's all that sort of thing that you can help. Even if you can't get out and about, you can still support the Potteries Marathon in many different ways, can't you?
Yeah, there's lots of things that need doing in the run up to the race, and then obviously on the weekend we need loads of help and marshalling, people that can support the runners, even if it's just for a couple of hours. Any help is gratefully appreciated. And I would say that thank you to everyone that did help on Sunday. All the people that manned all the water stations, the air cadets, the scouts, the parkrun team at mile 23. They were probably out the longest of all the water stations. All the people that were marshalling, all the traffic stewards, they all did a tremendous job. And it does take it's a big team effort. So anyone that's out there that's thinking, yeah, I'd like to be involved in this. This seems like a great thing for the city. What do I do? Just get in touch. Speak to Chris at race@rungbr.com, or go onto the Facebook pages, or we've got the Twitter for Potteries Marathon on Twitter. You can find us there. So yeah, lots to do.
Have you got a date for the next race? Has that been published yet, or?
That's one thing that we've not really thought about. I think it'll still be a summer race.
Yeah.
Purely when we originally started to think about bringing back the marathon, we were looking at when we could host the marathon, what would be a good time of year, and we were looking at spring, and then we thought, well, hang on, we've got the Stafford Half Marathon. We've got the Manchester Marathon, we've got this, we've got that. So then we thought, okay, what about the autumn time? And then it's like, you got the Congleton Half Marathon, you got the Chester Marathon. So, yeah, July was when we plumbed for, because we didn't want to go up against any other big races locally. We didn't want to upset any other race directors, for one thing, but we didn't want to take people away from their race, or vice versa, people doing another race. So, yeah, that's not been discussed in terms of moving the race. So I don't actually know if that's on the agenda or not. I've not heard that it is. So
the reason I ask is I was just going to check the countdown and see how long it was. But
that's
the only reason, really.
My maths isn't that good, but yeah, just under a year to go then, maybe. Hopefully.
So hopefully around about the same time. Yeah,
I would have thought so. Yeah. So keep your first weekend in July free.
Yes. Okay. So that's when it's planned to be, roughly, subject to everything, of course.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to get out about the Potteries Marathon? We've said thanks to everybody. We've covered the race winners. We've cover the potential changes, and they are only potential changes at this stage.
They are, yeah. We're looking at all the options, and thanks to all the runners, thanks to everyone that supported us this year and last year. It takes an awful lot to put on a single lap marathon. Planning that goes into it's immense. The costs involved and the sheer hard work by all the team. They were all out on Saturday from quite early on until about 8 p.m. in the pouring rain, signposting the race so that everyone knew where they were going. And then obviously myself and others were working all day on the Sunday. It's a big team effort, but it's one that I really enjoy. It's gives me a sense of community. Where I'm bringing something back for the city, for the runners. There's no negatives for me. I just absolutely love being a part of it and doing this for Stoke-on-Trent and North Staffordshire. It's absolutely fantastic. I was buzzing. I still am a little bit. It's such a great thing for everyone involved, for the whole city, and I hope that we can grow it and keep growing it year on year. This year's maybe been a bit of a blip. Hopefully we'll be back bigger and stronger.
Thanks for your time, Phil, and hopefully it will be bigger and stronger next year. Time for a bit more music. I think we're going to go for a bit of Roxy music this time.
TR